The Great White Trail is a pretty interesting film. I'd say I enjoyed the first half more than the second half, but the whole thing was pretty interesting. This was released in 1917. It's directed by Leopold Wharton, written by Gardner and Leopold Wharton, with a cast including Doris Kenyon, Paul Gordon, Thomas Holding, and various others. And it's because of Doris Kenyon that I wanted to watch this. I hadn't heard of it, didn't know what to expect, and as I said, generally I enjoyed it. It's about a character called Prudence Carrington, and her husband believes that she is cheating, so he throws her and their young baby out. And that moment, well, immediately after, was unintentionally funny, because a second after he does this, Prudence is declaring to her brother that everything is all over. She doesn't bother fighting for the situation. She just accepts the fact that her husband has thrown her out, and she declares it's all over, which I thought was a lot funnier than it was meant to be. And after that, I don't want to say exactly what happens. Of course, she leaves, and she leaves because of a 2-second argument, and things do get genuinely quite dramatic, and it clearly all becomes too much for Prudence, and she makes some questionable decisions, and the future of her child is interesting and uncertain, and I'll say no more than that. As I said, the first half from me was a lot more interesting. I think there was a lot more variety in what was happening. We were obviously getting to know the characters. The second half was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I just maybe didn't enjoy it quite as much. It is a solid story. It is really engaging, quite elaborate. There's quite a lot of detail there, and I'd say it's quite unpredictable as well. We also have a great use of intertitle cards to really keep up with what's happening. There were a few times when we were looking at a close-up of a letter, various letters, and I will be honest, they're quite difficult to read. The handwriting is so beautiful, but I could make out maybe 70% of it, but some of the words I quite struggled with. So maybe at the time the handwriting would have been much easier to read, but I definitely did have to pause it and really focus on the letters. And other than that, absolutely fine and easy to follow the narrative. The performances are really great, very expressive, easy to feel the characters' emotions. I haven't mentioned it, this is a silent film. That might have been obvious by the date of the film, but I should mention that. It is a silent film, and yeah, there are some silent films that are maybe not that easy to follow, that the intertitle cards are not that effective, but thankfully that wasn't the case here. Easy enough to follow, and the characters are all very expressive, easy to feel what their emotions were, often quite dramatic and over the top, but in a way that's very effective. Some pretty good editing, and if you like cute dogs, that's an added bonus. I won't say much about the dog, but that's always a benefit. And in general, it is a good film. As I said, first half, for me, much more enjoyable than the second half, but there wasn't anything about it that I didn't really enjoy. We had some good camera work, some nice locations, quite a variety in the locations, some solid performances, believable characters. Do I believe that Prudence would just go, okay then, it's all over after a 2-second argument? Maybe not so much, but that aside, everything else is very, very well done. And if you're a fan of silent films, if you want to be transported back in time, then I'd say The Great White Trail might be one that's worth watching.